now. Before you heard the sound. Now. Well, let's call it space for a while. There's a space in which confusion appears. And that space can seem clarified also at times. It can be confusion or clear. You see? Now, what space is that? So, good. So let's call it mind. Does that mind, being turbulent or still, actually impact the rest of you? It's confused. You see, it's still. Now, is that all there is to your existence?
It looks like that at the time.
Huh? At that time, you see, but now at this time. So that's, of course, when we are caught up, it can seem like that is completely, fully engrossing. We are completely immersed in that. It can feel like that, you see. But at least now we can check what is the real situation.
Now we can see that there's a space, there's something which can observe it,
Okay.
come and go.
Yeah.
But like you said, at that moment,
Yeah.
the first thing
So don't worry about that moment, because
now there's this
it's like
space
saying,
watch.
when we have some trouble at work, then it seems like our whole life is work, and that has to be resolved. There's nothing else to our life. If we have a problem in our family, then it can seem like family is all that our life is, and there's nothing else in our life. You see? So this is the nature of attention. It can get fully engrossed in something. But we're checking now, and we're looking at this space of a lot of activity and doubt and all this contradictory, confusing thoughts. Sometimes this seems true, sometimes that seems true. Now we're just checking that, does that contain us completely? Or is there something more to you than just that?
There's something more.
So, in that space, when we draw a conclusion, saying that this is what life is, or this is good, or this is bad, this should be, or this should not be. Is it? This conclusion is drawn in that space. Is it? At least the offers are coming from that space. Now, with that conclusion drawn, is it? So let me give you two examples. Some of you can make this conclusion, I am not understanding anything he's saying. I don't know why I came here, this satsang is pointless. You see? And some of you can say, this is very nice, this is exactly, I feel so good and open and spacious. You see? Now, with that conclusion believed in or drawn, what actually changed?
The belief who I am changed.
You see? But even the belief of who you are can be the same in this case. You see? Like in either conclusion. This is beautiful what you're saying. Without any conclusion, you are not caught up in a limited notion of who you are. So I was just going to come to that actually, because it's good what you said. It's very good. But I'm just looking at, even with the identification as a body-mind complex, you see, these two various notions can come, you see, and opposite notions can come. And what does that actually change when we buy into that idea? First is, of course, we pick up the identity, I am this one, and then this is what this is. You see? That satsang is very good or like pointless, very bad. You see? But does that have any impact on that which is? even the phenomenal aspect of that which is. That which is just is. With that concluding, which is also a part of that which is, nothing really changed except like a position got taken, saying that this is the way something is. And our exploration in satsang has been to look at these ideas, these conclusions, and examine the veracity of them. You see, are they really valid? You see, are they really true? And what is the standard of truth that we are applying to these? Because all our problems or so-called suffering in life depends on these conclusions. Like Papaji said, to be happy, you need nothing. To be unhappy or to be suffering, you need something. So this, if we can examine whether these conclusions actually hold true, and what is the standard of truth that we can apply, if there is such a standard of truth that we can apply universally and say this is the benchmark on which I consider something true. You see? So for this, one important step is needed, which is that whatever occurs to you, you cannot automatically take that, okay, because it occurs to me, it must be true. You see? This is how most of the world operates. Because it pops up in our head, therefore it becomes, for us it seems like it is true. And especially after it escapes our mouth, then so we are definitely stuck. Then it can feel like now I have to defend that position, as if we are the lawyer for that position. So, if we are open enough to firstly at least say that just because something pops up in my head, it occurs to me, does not automatically make it true. You see? How many of us are open enough at least for that much? That is the only openness actually that is needed. Because those who are stuck in that way, just because it popped up in my head has to be true, then there's no debating or questioning or arguing with them at all. You see? Then something will make them open. You see? And then we can have this kind of conversation. Yeah, see.
As you were saying that how many of us are that open?
Yeah.
The thought came in and I believed it.
Yeah.
Am I really open? No, I must not be open.
Yeah. So are you open enough to even have this? Like mostly the ones who are closed don't feel like the thought is occurring to them. They are saying that I made up this position. I took this position and now I'm just claiming it. You see? It can feel like, okay, this that is popping up is just a set of blah 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 blah. You see, it can already seem like for many of them that it is something that I am claiming, like as if they know what their next thought is going to be. You see? So nobody knows that, but when it comes, you can feel like, yeah, this is my position, and it could be either way for many. So this openness to say, okay, this thought is arising, some words came. You see? Now, just because they arose does not give them the privilege of being the truth.